So we might, kick it off. So I'm Andrew Willis from Word of Mouth Technology. Many of the attendees today will have had some conversation with myself or Russell, who you can see here online as well. Russ has been here with the team for 10 years this year. And as for those who don't know, we've been involved as a company with this sort of technology supporting technology for deaf and hard of hearing people for about 24 years, I'm going to say. So we've been involved in it for quite a long time. We're really proud of the history of the customers that we've supported over the years and the really strong relationships we have with people all over the country, whether you be occupational therapists, audiologists, workplace assessors for job access. We really are proud of being able to try and answer the tricky questions for people, and hopefully today is just something that gives you a little bit more in the way of tools to assist you with what you might be able to do for your clients or yourself with relation to telecommunication solutions. Now, if you've not participated in one of these webinars before, there's a little chat box so you can forward your questions at any time. I'll manage the questions and talk to Russ about those questions if you have them. So feel free to fire away at questions anytime you like. We'll make sure we answer them all as quickly as possible and have an interactive discussion. Perhaps, Russ, I'll leave you to kick it off.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, everyone, for coming along to this. It's really good for us to be able to show you what we do and help you in your roles when you're dealing with your clients. So today we're just going to look at some of the more common telecommunication solutions that we offer. This is certainly not, everything that we do, and we always encourage people to make sure you give us a call and just, provide us with some information about the scenario you're trying to overcome, and we can usually find a solution that fits that. So things that you should ask your clients about when you're doing the first one is, does the person rely on lip reading? So if someone is reliant, heavily on lip reading, then we've got to take that into consideration, because even if they have, every piece of equipment on this table, if they rely on the lip reading to understand what's being said, it's not going to help, because they're not going to have that visual of the person speaking to then give them, the lips to read to then understand the conversation. So that's really, one of the priority questions is, how reliant are they on lip reading when using the phone or that sort of thing. The next one that we need to know is whether the person has hearing aids or a cochlear processor, whether they have nothing at all but they're just hard of hearing, that sort of thing. And if you can, find out the brand and the model of those hearing aids or cochlear processor, just so that when you come to us and say, hey, I've got a person that needs assistance, we've got a list of what we can link to different brands of hearing aids and that sort of thing, and what works with them to make sure that when we're recommending something for the client, we're making sure we give correct information. Next one is, do they have anything already? So some people may already have like a little streamer that they've got from their audiologist. They may have something like this, which is the Roger Select. So that would come from their audiologist as well. We also sell it. They might have receivers on their hearing aids. They might have a whole range of different technology already provided, either through us, through another provider, or through their audiologist. So that's something that helps us to know, whether we have to order parts or whether we can connect to what they've got existing and that sort of thing. And then what are they wanting to connect to? So do they want to connect to a landline? Do they want to connect to a mobile phone? Is it video conferencing? All that sort of thing. And we'll go through some of the different options available for those different technologies today. So the first one we'll look at is this guy. So this is what we call the Bellman Maxi Pro. Maxi Pro is made up of two parts. It's a receiver here with a television streamer. Now, the television streamer, obviously, it's part of connecting to the rest of the world and knowing what's going on, especially in these COVID times and hearing what's on the news and what have you. But The Maxi Pro by itself, it has a Bluetooth receiver built into it. So what that means is that someone with a hearing loss can pair this with their mobile phone, and when their phone rings, they simply push the button here, they wear headphones, and they can talk into here to have their voice go back to the caller. The headphones then provide them with a good amplified sound that's directly from their phone via Bluetooth. So it means that they can adjust the volume higher than what they would normally be able to do it on their phone. They can also use this with a neck loop, so they can wear that around their neck. And the neck loop will actually send the sound through their hearing aid if they've got a little telecoil inside their hearing aid. So if you're talking to the client and they've got a telecoil, they can use this with the neck loop to then send the sound of their phone calls directly through their ears. So that's
Russ, the Maxi Pro's been one that we've had some increased interest in, as I said, while it's a product that was developed to assist people with face-to-face communication and hearing the TV, because of the fact that it's got that streamer and the Bluetooth component in a home office setting or even a corporate office environment, you can connect the streamer to your computer, to the audio output from your PC or your laptop, and right. you can pair the Maxi with your mobile phone. So the one device, you can switch between using Zoom for meetings, and then when your mobile rings, if you're wearing that neck loop, you can answer the call on the mobile, talk on the mobile, and then go back to listening to the computer. I mean, I'm doing that. I use, obviously not wearing hearing aids, I use this Jabra type headset, which I find great because it's paired with my mobile phone and the desktop or the laptop computer. So with the Maxi Pro, we give people the same flexibility as this device does, but compatibility with cochlear implants or hearing aids via the T-switch, yeah?
That's right, yeah. So it's really adaptable for a whole range of different scenarios, which is really cool. Another one for mobile phone communication, this is to make sure that people are alerted to things like SMS messages and phone calls on their mobile, is the Vibio. So this product has a little vibrating motor inside it. That would be placed inside the pillowcase or under the pillow on the bed, and then the person would sleep with their head on top of that. When the phone rings, when they get an SMS message, or it works for a wake-up alarm as well, this will vibrate and let them know that their phone, has a notification. So maybe for someone who works on call or, is in emergency services or something like that, this is a really good way that they can get phone calls from their employer at any time of day or night, and it'll vibrate to wake them up and know that their phone's going off.
I think it's good to also say, Russ, with the Vibio, it's not just for sleeping. It's small enough. It's no more sort of obstructive than, say, a big Samsung or Apple big screen phone. So if people want a really strong vibration because they miss their phone calls all the time, that is a really good alternative, because you can stick it in your back pocket or your front pocket or pocket of your vest. You get that strong vibration and you know that there's a message. So it can be used during the day as well, I suppose.
The next one that we most often get asked about is how we can connect a landline phones to someone's hearing aids. So what I've got set up here is what we call our telephone recording adapter. And so this device takes the sound signal from the phone handset, converts it to a 3.5mm plug, like a normal headphone plug, and then we would plug that into the headphone socket on, in this case, it's the Roger Select, but whatever streamer the person might have or whatever streamer we're providing that suits their hearing aids, we can, connect into that. And what that does is that when the phone rings, they pick this up, they talk into the headset. If they've got a headset like that, you can also plug it in that way and they can use it hands-free. But it just means that the sound from here goes directly to their hearing aids rather than having to use the speaker on the phone or the microphone, the speakers on the headset. That then means that the sound that's coming through the phone is adjusted to suit their hearing loss. And it also means that they can turn off the microphones on their hearing aid which then reduces the noise of the background in the office, so they can concentrate more closely on the telephone call and not try and filter out that sound from what's going on around them.
That telephone adapter, Russ, I think is something that you may have mentioned. That the fact that we can put the sound in both ears for the user is what gives us a great level of success over any other solution, would you say?
That's right, yeah, because they can, again, block out the noise and have the sound going in both ears.
And that applies for us, like in the educational field with the technology we use in schools. Even if that other ear is only giving the person 5 or 10%, getting some auditory input into the other ear, or what we call binaural sound, can make a huge difference to people's ability to understand what's being said on the phone, as opposed to just hearing it. And you'd know, Russ, as well as I do, we are faced with lots of phone calls from people who say, "Hi, I'm calling about a person who we're putting into a position in the workplace. You know, they have a moderate to severe hearing loss, and we're going to give them a job sitting on the telephone all day." And it's a challenge, because even with this technology, it's very stressful for that person, and be very quite fatiguing for them, because it's exhausting if you have normal hearing to talk all day. But we've been often very surprised at just giving that person binaural input is what takes it from being, a 50% sort of speech perception to improving it. I mean, and this is not data that's studied, but I reckon we improve it another 50%, would you say?
Oh, yeah.
By giving that sound into both ears. And even though everyone talks to us about, oh, hey, what about this? I've got a new phone here that's got Bluetooth in it, and how can we make that work with the hearing aids? There's often lots of technical pairing issues which don't always work, and that's why we've stuck with this device, because it's a physical plug, and when you plug it into the transmitter, you hear the sound. And there's no complicated pairing to stress the person out about when they answer the phone and they can't hear. Oh, hang on, what do you do? I know my dad's like that with his cochlear implants. Every time I ring him, hang on, I'll just check that my Bluetooth's not connected. Are you there? And Mum can hear him through the iPad, but I can't hear him on the phone. In the workplace, we want something a bit more robust. And while it's not as cool as wireless stuff, plugging the lead in takes a lot of the stress out of that setup.
Yeah, for sure. And it just works. So this slide shows you one of the basic setups. So we've got the phone plugged in. You can see that goes into the telephone audio adapter. So from the phone to the adapter, the curly cord goes back to the handset, and then the other end has the 3.5mm plug for whatever the FM system might be, or whatever we're connecting it to send the sound to the person. This one here is the MyLink receiver. So for someone who doesn't have a streamer but does have a telecoil, they can use this device, and they put that around their neck like that, and that will then send the sound up through their hearing aids, so that they can then hear the call. So the select sends the sound to here, this sends it to the hearing aids, and then they just use either the mouthpiece of the phone to put their voice back to the call, or they wear their headset, and the microphone on the headset will pick up their voice and send it back to the caller. The good thing about this is you can set it up on the phone and leave it connected, and the phone can still be used by everyone else without hearing aids. So it doesn't mean that, if a person with hearing loss wants to set up a phone, then they've got to plug this in, and then when they leave at the end of the day, they've got to unplug it all so that someone else can use the phone, or maybe they work part-time and someone else uses that desk. There's a big thing about hot desking at the moment, so wherever you sit, that's your phone sort of thing. But this can be set up and left set up. Everyone else uses the phone as normal, but it's got that added benefit that the person can then use that for their phone calls as well. They can then take their FM system and use it in meetings, that sort of thing. And also for things like video conferencing, they could plug it into their laptop, or, whether they've got an audio socket on their phone, they can plug it into that. There's a whole range of uses for just that microphone component as well. So it sort of covers quite a few bases in terms of assistance in the office. Video conferencing is something that's really come up because of the coronavirus, and it's something that we've had to deal with a lot more these days. And so we've got a few questions there just to think about when you're sort of trying to find a solution for video conferencing. So things to think about is the person in the same room that the video conference is happening, or are they dialing into the conference? Do they need to hear what the people in the room are saying, or is it only listening to what's being streamed from the video camera, that sort of thing? What connections are available? So is it connecting to a PC that's linked to a television? Is it a telephone-based system? Is it, you know, a whole range of different options these days? So we need to know sort of what connectivity there is, so that then we can determine what devices will connect most appropriately to that system, or what adapters we need to get in place to connect systems. Again, what equipment does the client have? So if they've already got something like a Roger Select, it may be just us finding a way of connecting their Roger Select to the video conferencing system, if that's the way they want to go, or whether they want something totally separate to that, then we would have to provide, you know, more equipment for. And then the last one is, what role do they have? So are they presenting that they need to hear questions from other people coming back, where we need to provide microphones and that sort of thing? Or are they just a participant where they're listening to a person talk, or they're listening to 10 people talk? So they're really, you know, big questions. This device here is the new Exceed SP30. This is a remote conference microphone. So it connects to things like laptops by a Bluetooth connection. It will connect to your mobile phone, connects to TV, all sorts of different options. You can use it with Teams, you can use it with Zoom, you know, they all connect through it. Really good thing about this one is that you can use some software, something like there's software called Otter AI, and that software will then, if you pair this to the computer, this will send the sound to the computer, and the computer will provide live captioning for the person. Now, it's not going to be perfect because it relies on people speaking nice and clearly and constant, you know, sound and that sort of thing, but it's certainly better than nothing. If you're a person with hearing loss in a meeting and everyone's talking at the same time, it's not going to pick that up either. But if you change the behaviours of those people in your workplace to, you know, speak slowly and clearly and you know, make sure that they're aware of someone with a hearing loss in the workplace, and that's, you know, part of the role of the OT as well, is just that deaf awareness, then that can be a really helpful solution to have captions displayed on a laptop.
You would say, Russ, as well, with that that product, we've had a few people use it to give them better access for remote interpreting services.
Yeah, that's right.
And so often we'll have a deaf customer, a deaf client who's needs to attend a meeting in the workplace, but access to the video relay interpreting is fine over the internet, but the weakness is the microphone in the meeting room is usually in the person's laptop. So when they sit in the meeting room, the interpreter can't always hear clearly what the person at the front of the room is saying. And we've had people successfully use this device. So what they do is they go to their meeting, but they put this device up the front of the room or on the lectern, and it means that the remote interpreting service has access to very clear audio, and the client or the employee who's using interpreting can still sit comfortably wherever they want in the room and see their screen and the video relay, you know, interpreter. So it gives them the freedom to sit where they want and be able to see and get good audio to the interpreting. So that's another really successful application for that that product.
It also means that they can be a part of the meeting, because when they sign back to the interpreter speaks what they say, and it comes out nice and loud and clear from that speaker as well.
Yeah, right. I forgot about that feature too. That's a good one as well.
Both ways.
and that's being heard nice and clearly, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because again, the computer speaker can be a bit tinny, whereas this device, middle of the room, sounds nice and loud and clear.
that's right. Yeah. So the two key funding sources for this sort of equipment, for personal use, most people go through NDIS these days, and word of mouth technology are registered providers, so we can look after plan managed, self-managed and agency managed clients. And we do that, all day, every day. If someone wants to use it for business purposes, then there's always Job Access, which is the Government Employee Assistance Fund, and they will do reimbursement funding for all of this equipment. So what happens is the client will approach Job Access, and Job Access will then say, we need to get an OT report, which then gets sent into Job Access. They make an assessment and say, yep, okay, you can then go and buy those goods. The customer buys the goods from us, and then we send them an invoice to say, yep, it's all been paid, and then Job Access will reimburse them the full cost of whatever they've approved for the client to have. Cool thing with that is that the client is the owner, not the employer. So the client moves address or moves job, they take that equipment with them to the new job, and so they're not sort of having to reapply and get the same equipment over and over again. They just take what they've got from one employer to the next one, and they're already set, ready to go.
Just a question, Russ, from one of the participants about word of mouth and the service we provide. So our company is based in Melbourne. We service these sorts of products and provide these products Australia-wide. The idea of home visits is not something that we normally provide. Most of the products we provide are I guess even as NDIS terms, it's what we say, Russ, low risk assistive technology. It's pretty plug and play. So if someone has a particular need though, and they need to test or trial something, we have put in place things to send a device to somebody for trialing in their workplace, haven't we, Russ?
Yep. So they would buy it, trial it, and then if it doesn't work, return it to us, and we would give them a refund of the cost price.
Yeah, and if there's tricky situations through Job Access where a person has to trial it and they were in a remote area where they can't access it, well, there's also workarounds there. So we're happy case by case basis. If you just let us know the situation, we can certainly work it out. We've got for a lot of our products, different companies around the country who might be able to support you locally with respect to that. So I hope that answers that question for you.
And then that's the end of today's webinar. So it's only a small selection, but it covers a lot of different scenarios, and there's different scenarios that you're going to come across in various workplaces when dealing with clients. So if you've got a situation that you sort of go, look, I think that might fit, but I need a bit more information or whatever, then certainly ask those questions of the client about what they've got, what their hearing aid make and model is, all that sort of thing, and give the call and say, look, this is the situation that I need, a solution for, and we can usually, find a solution or point you in the direction of someone that can provide the right solution. I'd like to thank everyone for coming along. There will be more webinars in the series, so keep an eye on the email that, if there's something specific that you would like us to cover, then certainly feel free to email us at info@wom.com.au and let us know what you would like to know more about, and we'll create a webinar about that particular topic. But certainly we're very open to phone calls and emails and conversations. So feel free to give us a ring at any time.
And if I can just say, Russ, just a couple of last minute questions. So the Job Access program is a federal initiative. So regardless of where you are, the Job Access funding will apply nationally, and we will support you with those products wherever you are, obviously in conjunction with the OT that's supporting them. Some of the products we've talked about today would be available through our resellers in and around the state. So you can basically let us know which product it is, but I can tell you that most of the more complex communication solutions we set up, we tend to be better off just dealing directly with us. Would you say, Russ?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Unless it's a straightforward solution where we can certainly point you to many of the local hearing aid providers, whether they be part of bigger chains or Hearing Australia. They stock and sell a lot of our Bellman products,
Yep.
but the more complex telecommunication solutions, it's a lot easier just to deal directly with us because we're dealing with it a bit more frequently than them. So
That's right.
thank you, Russ, for taking a lead on this. We hope everyone got something of benefit out of today's session, and stay tuned for the next one, which I'm sure will be of interest to you again.
No worries. Thank you.
Thanks very much. See you later. I'll just keep that open.